I'm going to go ahead and record this. There we go. Hop on up. Daylight savings time tomorrow. Oh yeah, that's a good reminder. I'll mute us. Mute. Most of us. Continue. Unmute if you have any questions. Thanks for showing up. This is our first vaulting session. Stand up on your horse as it runs around. Opening chant, inhale. Bande Gurunam Charanara Vinde Sandara Shita Svatma Sukha Vabode Nishreyase Jangale Kaimane Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantiye Abahu Parusha Karam Shankha Chakrasi Darinam Sahasra Shirsam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale, arms straight, exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Scoot the hands back a little bit. Wide fingers, wide toes. Strong Mula Bandha. Next inhale, exhale, fold. Inhale up, Samastatihi. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands forward. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Listen to the breath. Next inhale, walk or jump. Exhale, fold. Inhale up, hands touch. Samastatihi. One more A. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, straight arms. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Strong Mula Bandha, strong quadriceps. Strong Ujjayi Pranayama. Next inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale up. Samastatihi. Surya Namaskara B. Inhale, knees bend, hands touch. Exhale, hands forward. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot warrior. Inhale, up. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left foot. Inhale, up, warrior one. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Next inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, up. Knees bend. Samastati. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot, inhale, up. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left foot. Inhale, up. Exhale, plank. Strong Mula Bandha as you get into down dog. Strong breath. Steady drishti. Next inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, up. Very nice. One more. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Right foot. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Left foot. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Strong Mula Bandha, strong quadriceps. Listen to the Ujjayi. Steady drishti. Next inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, up. Samastati. It's an inhale. Open the feet, grab the big toes, arms are straight. Exhale, elbows bend, Padangusthasana. Always Mula Bandha. It's an exhale, hands under the feet. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, elbows bend. Padahastasana. Strong bandhas, strong drishti, strong ujjayi. Use an inhale, arms come straight. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, come up. Samastatihi. It's an inhale, open for triangle. Utthita Trikonasana. Exhale, down. The whole body works equally. Mula Bandha and Ujjayi Pranayama help that coordinate. It's an inhale, up. Exhale, second side. Utthita Trikonasana. So beautiful. It's an inhale, up, rotate, Parivrtta Trikonasana. And again, the whole body works equally. It's an exhale to look down. Inhale, travel up. Exhale, side two. Parivrtta Trikonasana. It's an exhale, look down. Inhale, up. Samastati. Inhale, open. Utthita Parsvottanasana. Make sure there's weight in that back foot. Strong quadricep pressing toward that back leg. It's an inhale, up. Exhale, side two. Utthita is extended. Extended side angle. Kona, K-O-N-A. Kona is angle. Beautiful. Inhale up, rotate Parivrtta Parsvottanasana. Strong Mula Bandha, strong Ujjayi. Strong back foot. It's an inhale up and over. Exhale, side two. Parivrtta Parsvakonasana. Vritta or vritti means swirling, churning, rotating, stirring, sloshing about. It's an inhale up, Samastati. Hands are on the hips. Inhale, open. Exhale, down. Wide fingers, hands are on the floor. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, elbows bend. Prasarita Padottanasana A. It's an inhale, arms straight. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, come up. Exhale, look forward. Inhale, open. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Use your next inhale, come up. Exhale, look forward. Inhale, open. Exhale, interlace. Inhale, arch. Exhale, fold over. Strong Mula Bandha, strong quadriceps. Strong feet. Next inhale, come on up, hands move to the hips, looking up. Exhale, look forward. Inhale, hands stay on the hips. Exhale, first two fingers, take the big toes. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, elbows bend. It's an inhale when the arms get straight again. Exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, come up. Samastati. Hands up the back in prayer. Parsvottanasana. Inhale, open. Exhale, head to the right knee. Strong Mula Bandha. It's an inhale up, turn around, exhale down. Side two. Strong feet. It's an inhale up and open. Samastati. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands forward. Inhale, arms straight. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale through jump, sit down, Dandasana. Strong Mula Bandha. Strong Ujjayi. It's an exhale. The first two fingers grab the toes. Inhale, arch. Exhale, fold. Paschimottanasana A. We're going to do 3. It's an exhale to switch the hand grab. Inhale, arch. Exhale, fold. Use any hand grab you want. And again, use an exhale, switch the hand grab. Inhale, arch. Exhale, fold. Paschimottanasana A, B, C. Intense west stretch. Next inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, jump back. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale through jump, Purvottanasana. Feet are together or tabletop. Feet are apart. Check on the fingers, check on the toes, check on Mula Bandha. It's an exhale down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale through jump. Right knee, seated half-bound lotus. Ardha Baddha Padma, Paschimottanasana. Strong Mula Bandha. It's an exhale when you descend. If it's easy, your right hand is behind your back, hanging onto your right big toe. It's an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Second side, seated half bound lotus. Ardha is half, Baddha is bound, Padma is lotus, Paschimottanasana is intense west stretch. Half lotus, half bound lotus, Ardha Baddha, half bound lotus, intense west stretch. Then inhale, arch, exhale, release. Right knee folds. Trianga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. Strong, strong breath. Nice and compressed. Next inhale, arch. Left knee folds. Trianga Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. On an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Take the right foot under the left knee, hop back. Nice vinyasa. Janushirasana A, right foot in against the left thigh. After 5 breaths, inhale, arch. Side 2, Janushirasana A, left foot in against the right thigh. It's an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Through jump, sit down onto your right heel, Janushirasana B. It's an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Sit down onto the left heel. Janu Sirsasana B, second side. It's an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, jump back. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale through jump. Right foot, Janu Sirsasana C. Strong bandhas, strong compressed ujjayi. It's an inhale, arch. Second side. The ball of the left foot is on the floor. Janu Sirsasana C, side 2. It's an inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Marichyasana A. Right knee up. Hang loose distance in between that right foot and the left thigh. Strong quadriceps, strong mula bandha, compressed breath. It's an inhale, arch, open the shoulder against the shin. Second side, left knee up. Hang loose distance like 6 or 8 inches in between that left foot and the right thigh. The right foot is flexed, strong ujjayi pranayama, strong mula bandha, strong right quadricep. It's an inhale, arch, open the shoulder against the shin. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, jump back. Marichyasana B, left foot half lotus or left foot tucked. Bind around that right shin. It's an inhale, arch. Open the shoulder against the shin. Right foot half lotus or right foot tucked. Marichyasana B. Left knee up. Strong Mula Bandha, strong Ujjayi Pranayama. It's an inhale, arch. Open the shoulder against the shin. Exhale, release. Marichyasana C. Right knee up, twist across. Whatever you're hanging on to, hang on tight. It's an inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Second side, left knee up. Same setup as Marichyasana A. 6 or 8 inches in between the inside of that left foot and the inside of the right thigh. Use an inhale to look forward. Hang on tight with whatever you're holding on to. Exhale, release. Marichyasana D, left foot half lotus, right knee up, twist across, or left foot tucked, obviously. Hi, Sarah. Use Mula Bandha. It's an inhale to look forward. Exhale, release. Right foot half lotus or tucked. Twist across that left knee. And inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. We're moving into intermediate series now, or second series. Both feet hop forward. Twist around both shins and bind the hands together. If you're going to throw a yoga strap or a towel, throw it from your top hand, the one going over the back. Ideally, heels are on the floor. You know what's so cool? You're much less likely to pick up on my ancestors' beautiful inheritances that they gave me, like not being able to get my heels on the floor. When we're in little squares, you're so much less likely to copy my body. Beautiful. It's an inhale, look forward. Exhale, second side. There's traditionally no vinyasa there. And everyone I've talked to says, I don't know why. It's an inhale, look forward. Exhale, back to plank. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, through jump, right knee folds like Trianga. No, I'm lying, sorry. Left knee folds like Trianga. Right leg jumps through. We'll do 2 of these Kranshasanas. It's an exhale to touch. It's an inhale, arch. Go back to the first position. Exhale out. Plank. Up dog. Down dog. Side 2, right knee folds. I'm using a half block under my left hip, and it takes the pressure off of my right knee. It makes the posture more possible, and this block is cork, and I'm in love with it. However, you could use a thick book, and it would do the same thing. Or maybe even a folded up beach towel. It's getting that time of year where you're going to have beach towels around again. Strong Mula Bandha. It's an exhale to touch. Inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Plank. up dog, down dog. And from down dog, lie down onto your belly. Shalabhasana A. Forehead is high. The backs of the hands touch the floor. Fingers are wide. Feet are up. I'm trying to lift my knees off the floor, but they don't really go up that high. You might not be able to see it. Legs are high. Top of the head is high. And then just the eyeballs move and the drishti is low. Shalabhasana A. Hands pull forward, flip over your fingertips, press back. Shalabhasana B. Strong Mula Bandha. Keep your head at least as high as it is. Move your hands. Inhale, up dog. Beautiful. Exhale, down dog. Lie down onto the belly again. Both knees fold and the heels try to come down next to the body. Frog posture. Bekasana. Forehead is high. Feet are low. Drishti is low. Mula Bandha on. Head stays high, release the feet. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Lie down onto the belly. Reach back. Thumbs point down, and you want to be on your ankle or your shin, not on the foot. Lift up for Dhanurasana. Bow posture. Head stays high. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Lie down onto your belly, Parsvadhanurasana. Same hand hold, lift up, tilt right. Mula Bandha's on. Let gravity take that top leg down toward the bottom leg. The head is where it is in every single back bend. And then only the eyeballs sneakily look up at the ceiling. Side drishti, Parsva drishti. It's an inhale up. Exhale, second side. Roll over to the left shoulder. Strong Mula Bandha. Gravity takes that top leg down toward the bottom one. Chin is parallel to the floor. Eyeballs are looking up at the ceiling. Roll up, 5 more. I open my feet on this one. Release the legs, head stays high. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Come over onto the knees. Ustrasana, camel posture. Make all of them strong and all of them comfortable. Lean back a little bit, fling yourself up so that your head is still back when you're in plank. Your head is still back when you're in up dog. And then the chin tucks under for down dog. Come over onto the knees again. Choice 1, do whatever you want. Choice 2, Lagha Vajrasana. You can get in from the base of the posture, or you can get in from the top of the posture. Come up any way you can. Neck, the front of the throat is still open for plank, still open for up dog, and then the chin tucks in down dog. Down dog is your forward bend recovery for every single back bend. Whenever you're ready, Kapotasana A and B. A, you reach back, your hands go over your head and grab onto your feet. B, the arms are straight. And if you grabbed your feet, then the fingertips are touching the toes. So if someone took a picture of just the top half of your body, it would look like you were in a regular back bend. Flick yourself up. Plank, up dog, down dog, Supta Vajrasana. That last intense posture that you did, that I didn't, I don't know if you did. You did, we all did. I kind of did also. Anyway, that last intense posture, Kapotasana means pigeon. I think that's funny, considering what pigeon means so far around the world, you know, that one with the knee forward where you sleep. It's like two opposite breeds of pigeon. Anyway, Supta Vajrasana. 5 breaths with the head down, 5 up and down, 5 more down. Bound lotus with a person anchoring your knees for you. Strong bandhas. Feels good to sweat. Feels good to stretch all those nadis around. Mula Bandha's like, it feels good to have a break when you're talking. Vinyasa, if you'd like it. Probably feels really good after that. And then there's 2 forward bends in the form of crane. Crane or crow is great. Squatting is just as good. Child's pose is just a crane that's, you know, has gravity in the other direction. Fly back to plank. Fly into the second crane. I'm like that little baby eagle on the eagle cam that's like not anywhere near ready to fly, so don't fall out of the nest yet. For everyone that I asked about the bird, the two sweet birds trying to make a nest just between my gutter and my house, or like under my gutter or something. Anyway, I did some handyman work yesterday. I got really thick cardboard and I stapled it up so they can't get in there. They'll have to go find a tree to build their nest in, or someone else's house. So 2 cranes and then a vinyasa. Through jump, left knee folds, Bharadvajasana. Left knee folds like Trianga. There it is. Right foot, half lotus. And what I do is, as I'm getting in, once I've got my legs situated, I lift my butt up off the floor, and then I get tension on this forearm. So my kneecap is pressing these bones in my arms that direction. And after crane, that turns into a nice wrist fixer. It's an inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Oh my gosh, Amelia, you're so cute. I just saw your shirt. I was very disciplined, not turning forward and staying focused. That's it, that's it. Beautiful. Quite possibly my favorite twist of any of the twists. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, out. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Hey, you know that story I always tell about the fish listening to Shiva, and then he goes down the river and he turns into a man? And well, he turns into a yogi and he walks out of the river. I heard a new variation on that story. And honestly, I think it's probably I think it's a more original story. The story is that the fish listens to Shiva, but the fish is a female. And inside of the fish is an incarnation of the first yogi. So the fish goes down and has babies, and one of the babies turns out to be that yogi. Matsyendrasana. I thought that was a good story. Although I don't think it was called Matsyendrasana. I think well, obviously not the asana part, Matsyandra. I think it was called something else that started with an M. Anyway, if I get back around, if I circle back to that story, I'll write down the details. Vinyasa, side 2. Ardha Matsyendrasana. If you ever want to do Matsyendrasana without the Ardha, That foot that is folded next to you goes into lotus. So my right foot is next to my left hip. And if I was in full, that right foot would be in lotus. It's an inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Okay, choice 1, go into your back bends. Choice 2, work on anything you're working on. Choice 3, continue on into second, right foot behind the head. Ekapada Shirsasana. If you feel like you've done enough postures, you could do the final 3, bound lotus, seated lotus, lifted lotus, or you could do full closing sequence. And if you love leg behind the head, or you're like, oh, I've never done enough postures in a day. Nice, Hannah. Nice, Andy. If you're like, I've never done enough postures in a day. Nice, Maureen. Yeah, that's the team I'm on. I've never done enough postures in a day. We can shorten the name of our team, but it appears that that's the team I'm on. Nice, nice, nice. Mireya, nice back bend. So it's Ekapada Shirsasana right side. When I learned it, we did 3 on the right. And these days that most people are doing 2 on the right and then 3 on the left or 2, whatever you want. Mireya, that was a great back bend. Nice, Amber. Who has all the sunshine? That might be Shayna. Oh, it's Emily. Emily has all the sunshine. I see where the sunshine is today. Hi, Emily. Right foot behind the head, left foot behind the head. Then there's a vinyasa, and it's 2 feet behind the head, balanced on your bum. And also no hurry. Nice, nice, nice. Amelia, I love that. So Amelia, there is one with the leg behind the head where the other foot is in half lotus. And then there's one with the leg behind the head where the other foot is in Trianga. Those both have, you know, good bent knee options. Beautiful. Andy, I didn't see you here at the beginning, so I just took off on my chariot. But anytime you want to lead that first half, you know you're welcome to. We don't have to plan it ahead. Plan it, not plan it. Not like Saturn. I mean, kind of like Saturn. Nice back bend. Emily. Mireya, I love you.
I'll be back in 20 minutes.
I'll be here in 20 minutes.
I have to do something and I'll be right back.
I wish I could help you.
You already did.
Oh my gosh, we're all so witty. I think yoga makes you kind of sharp. It either makes you like sharp and witty, or it makes you kind of flippant. It's all good. Beautiful back bends, beautiful shoulder stand sequences. Awesome. Nice handstand, Maria. I'm on page 271 of Living with the Himalayan Masters. This is Swami Rama's autobiography. When I was Shankacharya, I happened to meet a Jesuit sadhu. A sadhu is someone who is in service to the Lord. Sometimes sadhus or swamis wear white robes or gunny sacks, but the saffron garb is given to them when they are initiated in the path of renunciation. This saffron garb stands for the color of fire. Only one who has burnt all worldly desires into the fire of knowledge is permitted to wear it. Some of the advanced monks ignore wearing such garb and do not observe these formalities. They wear white gowns, wrap blankets around themselves, or use gunny sacks. For them, the use of a particular garb is immaterial. There are 10 orders of swamis and several orders of sadhus. Out of the 10 orders of swamis, 4 of them are exclusively for Brahmins, because the Brahmins practice and learn spiritual books from their early childhood. The environment in which they are brought up is spiritual. They study the scriptures of wisdom and thus can impart the knowledge properly, but the other 6 orders are given to the other classes. This Jesuit sadhu was wearing saffron garb and a cross around his neck. This made me curious. He was only the 3rd Christian sadhu I had met, and we started discussing the practical aspect of Christianity. This Jesuit was an educated monk who knew Sanskrit, English, and most of the South Indian languages. He lived exactly like the Hindu swamis live. There seems to be a difference in Indian and Western Christianity. Indian Christians practice meditation and give philosophical expositions of the Bible exactly as the swamis explain the Upanishads and their various commentaries. He said that Christianity could be revived by teaching it practically. In the West, practicality in Christianity is not understood. He firmly believed that Christ had lived in the Himalayas, although it did not matter to me whether he had lived there or not. This Jesuit Swami was a very humble man and talked to me about walking with Christ. I asked him, "How can you walk with someone who lived 2,000 years ago?" He laughed and said, "What ignorance! Christ is a state of perfection, a state of oneness, and a state of truth. Truth is everlasting reality and is not subject to death. I live with Christ consciousness. I follow his footprints." I said, "Where are those footprints?" And he laughed again. He said, "Anywhere I go toward, any direction I move, I find him guiding me. They are everywhere, but you will have to see with your own eye of faith. Do you have that?" I admired his love for Christ consciousness and bade goodbye to him. After renouncing the seat of Shankacharya, I went to my master and stayed with him for a few days. From there, I decided to go on a pilgrimage to Amarnath, the highest shrine of Kashmir. Amarnath is a cave which is covered by snow all year round. The dripping water icicle looks like a Shiva lingam, a symbol adored by Hindus, exactly as the cross is by Christians or the Star of David is by Jews. The story of a pair of white pigeons is very famous in this area. It is said that a pair of white pigeons came on the day of pilgrimage. Come on the day of pilgrimage. A Kashmiri Pandit, who is a learned man, was my guide on this journey. He started telling me the story about Jesus Christ, claiming that Jesus had lived in Kashmir practicing meditation. The Pandit referred to a manuscript written in the Tibetan language that is preserved in a monastery situated at the height of 14,000 feet in the Himalayas. It was later translated by a Russian writer and then into English and published as The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ. In this part of the Himalayas, many people believe this story, and you dare not disagree with it. There is a nearby mount which is famous because Jesus lived practicing meditation there. My guide gave me 3 reasons to support this statement. First, the garb which Jesus wore was a traditional Kashmiri garb. Second, his hairstyle was also Kashmiri. And third, the miracles that he performed are well-known yogic miracles. The pundit claimed that Jesus Christ left Asia Minor for the unknown period of his life when he was 13 years old, and that he lived in the valleys of Kashmir until he was 30. I did not know whether to believe him, but I certainly didn't want to dismiss the idea. His love for Jesus Christ was immense. I did not want to argue with him. On our way to Amarant, he took me to an ashram which was 7 miles away in the forests of Gulmarg. Gulmarg is one of the places of interest often visited by foreigners. A Swami lived there who was a scholar of Kashmir Shivaism and who practiced meditation most of the time. Kashmir Shivaism has many scriptures still untranslated and unexplained. So much is left unsaid in these great scriptures that they are only understood by those fortunate ones who are on the path and have already understood something of it. These scriptures can never be understood without a highly competent and accomplished teacher. The philosophy views the spirit, mind, body, and all levels of reality in the entire universe as a manifestation of the principle termed spanda, spontaneous vibration. The subject matter of these scriptures is Shaktipata, the awakening of latent force buried in human beings. This Swami informed me of a roving adept who visited Amarant cave shrine every summer, but no one knew where the adept lived permanently. People coming from Ladakh often saw him treading the mountain paths all alone. My interest was not only to visit the cave shrine, but also to meet the roving adept of the Himalayas. Of all those I met in my life, 3 were very impressive and left deep imprints in the bed of my memory. That adept was one of them. I stayed with him for 7 days, just 50 yards away from the shrine. He visited this cave shrine practically every year. He was about 20 years of age and very handsome. He had the luster of his cheeks, and the luster of his cheeks was like that of cherries. He was not a brahmachari who wore only a loincloth and possessed nothing. He was so acclimated to high altitudes with the help of yoga practices, he could travel barefoot and live at elevations of 10,000 to 12,000 feet. He was insensitive to cold. Living with him was an enlightening experience to me. He was perfect and full of yoga wisdom and sincerity. People called this young adept Bal Bhagwan, child God incarnate. But he always kept himself above such praises and constantly traveled in the Himalayan mountains. He already knew my master and had lived in our cave monastery. He asked about several students who were practicing meditation with my master. He spoke briefly in gentle sentences, but I could feel that he was not pleased when my guide started bowing, touching his feet, and running around in emotional devotion. This great adept became an example for me. I had never before seen a man who could sit still without blinking his eyelids for 8 to 10 hours. But this adept was very unusual. He levitated 2.5 feet during his meditations. We measured this with a string, which was later measured by a foot rule. I would like to make it clear, though, as I have already told you, that I don't consider levitation to be a spiritual practice. It is an advanced practice of pranayama with application of bandhas. One who knows about the relationship between mass and weight understands that it is possible to levitate after long practice. This was not what I was seeking. I directly wanted to have an experience with this adept. I asked him a question about the highest state of enlightenment, and muttering a mantra from the Upanishads, he answered, "When the senses are well controlled and withdrawn from contact with the objects of the world, then the sense perceptions no longer create images in the mind. The mind is then trained in one-pointedness. When the mind no longer recalls thought patterns from the unconscious, a balanced state of mind leads to a higher state of consciousness. A perfect state of serenity established in sattva is the highest state of enlightenment. The practice of meditation and non-attachment are two key notes. A very firm conviction is essential for establishing a definite philosophy of life. Intellect intervenes and blind emotion misguides. Though both are great powers, they should be known first, analyzed, and then directed toward the source of intuition. Intuition is the only source of true knowledge. All this, whatever you see in the world, is unreal because of its constantly changing nature. Reality is hidden beneath all these changes. He instructed me to march fearlessly on the path I was treading. After 7 days of satsang, the guide and I left this great sage. I returned to Srinagar and then went to my abode in the Himalayas to enjoy the autumn. That's cool. So, levitation is not a spiritual. Gina, hi, I love you. Are you walking around?
Well, walking, we might use that term loosely.
So yes, that's a yes. I don't know when you popped on, but Swami Rama stayed with this guy in the Himalayas, and he would meditate without blinking for 8 to 10 hours. And when he meditated, he would levitate about 2.5 feet up off the floor, which they measured with a string. And Swami Rama said, levitation is not a spiritual thing. Levitation is a practice of pranayama and bandhas. Like, he basically was like, anyone can levitate.
I like it.
I like it too. It's 10:28. We have another minute. Here's a picture of Beryl and I.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Aren't we cute?
Where is that?
East Hampton. Let me see if there's a date on here. I don't think there's a date on it. Same book, same beach. Here's a picture of Tom and I.
Oh, that's great. Super special.
I felt really lucky to get that photograph because Tom didn't usually practice yoga in front of people, and he certainly didn't just pop up on the beach to take a cool photo. So
that wasn't a thing back then. It was pre-selfie.
And then here's a picture that Milk Bubba gave me of himself that someone else had given him. That's when he was young.
Oh,
Well,
wow. Can you put it closer to the camera, Kath?
Yeah, younger. It's black and white. It's kind of hard to see. It looks honestly, either he's pouring milk.
Oh, yeah,
or
I see.
I think he might be pouring milk, which would be appropriate. He's probably in his 40s or 50s in that picture, just because of how much hair he has. He might be in his 60s, honestly. His
And
skin,
what was the span of time when he was only drinking milk? Like from what age to what age?
that's a good question. It lasted about 28 years, but I don't know exactly the age. Yeah.
I really want to show you how wide my sweatpants are. Look.
It's like
That's
a
one
skirt.
leg.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like a skirt. Just one leg is a skirt. Those are
I
cute.
know. Fun.
Those are
Get
super
my ice
cute.
pack.
I like it. Here's a picture. What was that word for spontaneity that I just read? That's me and Cammie
Oh,
doing the
nice.
same thing that we currently do, except now she has a baby climbing on her back.
Hmm.
I really like how wide open our fingers are on our hands. Like every part of the body is active.
Yeah.
Which I still try to get to happen. Okay, what are those things called? Yantra. I hadn't looked Yantra up in this book, so I thought we would start with that. We'll read the definition out of here first. This is the Encyclopedic Dictionary or Encyclopedic Dictionary of Yoga. And you have to know your alphabet in order to use it. That's how come I'm flipping back and forth. Okay, I found it. I want to see what year this was published. Because I think, yeah. So I got this book in September of '95. So I was using this book before we had the internet available, before I had the internet available to me. I think I started having the internet available to me in '98, like when we opened the yoga studio. And I don't think, I remember having to type in, if you wanted to look something up, you could look, you know how now you just type in a word and it's like, yeah, okay, we can get you close or we can get you right there. I used to have to type in an asterisk and then what I was looking for and then another asterisk. And if you had an asterisk on either side of the word, that meant search everywhere. And if you didn't have the asterisk, it was a more specific search. And
Yeah.
I remember that other people were in chat rooms and stuff, but I never was. But that is how we met. That's how we got Jessica Char to come to the yoga studio. Was Liza was in a chat room with Kaustubh, Jessica Char's son. And so Kaustubh and Jessica Char and Malika, I think is the name of Jessica Char's daughter. And maybe there was one other person traveling with them. I don't know who it was. I don't really remember anyone else traveling with them. Anyway, from those
like Jessica Char, like Krishnamacharya's son.
Yeah, he came to Yoga Vermont.
Are you serious? Can you tell me? Yes, you are. Can you tell me a little bit about his approach, like? Because I know, like Patavi Joyce and Iyengar, and I know kind of like their approaches, but I was curious on his approach because I got a book of his in Spanish.
Yes.
El Corazón del Yoga.
Good.
And I was about to read it, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it.
That's a really
about him.
good book. In English, it's called The Heart of Yoga, and it has that same cover design. And it's a really good book. And the Yoga Sutras are in there, and they might all be in there. There's a whole section on Yoga Sutras, and it might be the entire Yoga Sutras and his, his translation of them, which is super special. I don't have that book in my Yoga Sutra section. but I probably should put it over there. Desikachar. Okay, so Krishnamacharya taught Pattabhi Jois and BKS Iyengar when he was in the Mysore Palace, and when he was younger, and when they were very young. And then Desikachar wasn't born until Krishnamacharya was 50 years old. So Krishnamacharya went from teaching group classes and really, really pushing people to, you know, as we age, we usually mellow out a little bit. So anyway, Krishnamacharya mellowed out as he developed his practice. I think it's really difficult. It could have been interesting to be Krishnamacharya and have the attention and all the knowledge. He had so much knowledge, right? He was a Sanskrit scholar. He was a Brahmin. He knew everything about yoga. Not everything, but he knew a whole lot about yoga. And then to develop his teaching and his philosophy as he moved through life, because he wasn't just one thing, right? So anyway, he taught those other guys, he taught Pattabhi Jois and BKS Iyengar and a bunch of BNS Iyengar, a bunch of people when he was younger. And then his life changed and his philosophy changed. And by the time Desikachar was old enough to start learning, which is usually around 7 years old, you have to figure Krishnamacharya was 57. He wasn't living in Mysore anymore. And he had changed to the only thing that should be taught in group classes is, and I actually like this, is basic pranayama and chanting. So the only group classes that happen, I forget where they are, it starts with a C or a CH. The only group classes that happen are basic pranayama and chanting. He decided that all asana should be taught individually. So Desikachar has a really gentle approach to people. And some of that is because his dad was older. And the other person, you have one of his books also, Mireya, is A.G. Mohan. He worked with Desikachar during, you know, the last 25 years. I mean, not Desikachar, Krishnamacharya during the last 25 or 30 years of his life instead of the beginning. And so his approach is also very, very individualized. Sarah has something to tell me. No.
I was just looking for that book, but I think I was thinking of A.G. Mohan's schools in Chennai.
Chennai. Yeah. Thank you.
I can't find the book, but maybe I'll find it.
And anyway, so does that help? Like, Desikachar is more individualized and more patient and more gentle. And Krishnamacharya was still very strict about adhering to the yogic path and, you know, like being clean and being on time and don't do inappropriate things. But he dealt with people individually. Anyway, that's kind of, I don't know if that was a good answer.
Is A.G. Mohan still alive?
Yeah, he is. And he has a lot of videos on YouTube. And he was traveling and doing workshops. He may be doing something virtually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That book is so wonderful. I love his book. It's beautiful.
I love him. I totally love him. I love his wife. I love them. I love everything they love. But just as a warning, it's presented in a slow manner and I get bored. And the book is fantastic and you can read it as fast as you want to read it. So if you have the tolerance, please watch some of A.G. Mohan's things and then tell me what you learned. Or if you were really busy, you might be able to listen to it in the background of something. Okay, so,
I'm
vinyasa.
confused because I thought these people were in Chennai, and I was thinking it was A.G. Mohan, but it's not.
So, who are those people?
Srivatsa Ramaswamy.
Okay.
But it's the one with the chants next to each.
Yeah. So you guys, that book that Sarah's holding up, I don't own it yet, but I've looked at it a few times. And supposedly for each asana, there's a mantra. And some of them or most of them are listed in that book. So that book is a really gem of a resource. But my mantra is Mula Bandha on? Hey, Mula Bandha. Mula Bandha. Oh, listen to that breath. Hey, Mula Bandha. That's my mantra currently when I'm in postures. Okay, so this week I was asked a question about Yantra, and I hadn't looked it up in this book yet, so we will read this together. Yantra, effort or exertion, according to the Yoga Sutra, the very essence of spiritual practice. One cannot grow spiritually without applying oneself to the yogic disciplines. However, when spiritual striving becomes competitive, it is counterproductive. Also see effort, grace. What? Is yantra the right word, Sarah? That's what we were talking about, right?
The other word that I confuse it with is yatra without the N, and yatra is a long walk or like a.
Gotcha. Okay, I have another definition. I'm learning how to read right in front of you. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yantra, this is the one that makes sense. Y-A-N-T-R-A, yantra. It's a device. It's a geometric representation of the levels of energies of the cosmos and the human body. It is a microcosmic replica of the macrocosm. Yantras are widely used in tantric worship where they are treated as the body of one's chosen deity. Ishta Devata. They are drawn on paper, wood, and cloth, or inscribed on metal and other materials. They are even constructed in 3 dimensions out of clay or stone. They typically consist of a square, surround, circles, lotus petals, triangles, and a central point known as the bindu, representing the creative matrix and the gateway to transcendental reality. In these higher stages of the tantric ritual, the yantra must be completely internalized, that is, perfectly visualized. Yantra yoga consists in the gradual dissolution of the inwardly constructed yantra, together with the dissolution of the individuated consciousness. If successful, this exercise will catapult the practitioner into pure consciousness beyond the subject-object distinction. Tantrism employs a large number of yantras, and the mantra Mahadahi describes the 29 geometric devices. The most famous yantra is the Shri Yantra. So, okay, so yantras are designs. Mandalas tend to be bigger. Yantras tend to be 2 things, either smaller or they tend to be a seat for something. So you could draw a triangle with a dot in the middle. The dot is always in the middle, whether it's marked or whether it's not marked. It's always there. The center of the yantra is always there, obviously, whether it's marked or not. Anyway, so you could draw a triangle with a dot, and then sit something on top of it, like a candle or an oil lamp or a deity or anything you want. And these geometric shapes are supposed to be the physical, they're like bija mantras. They're the physical representation of a vibration that has not yet come into words. And yantra usually means machine. In that book I just looked it up in, it meant device. It usually means a machine. And back in the day, the simpler a machine, the better. And these machines they're spiritual machines. So when I was starting to like dig around through my yantra material, also I had a yantra book that I really, really liked. And I looked it up on Amazon. I was like, oh, I haven't had that book around me in years. Like it is long gone. I looked it up on Amazon and it was like, I don't even remember now. It was way too much money. It was like $70 or something used. And I was like, that book was good. It wasn't that good. So it must be out of print. Anyway, so yantras, if you see a triangle and it's facing up, that represents Shiva or male energy. And if you see a triangle and it's facing down, that represents Shakti or female energy. And the Shri Yantra is that one that has all of the triangles going down, going up. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, that's the Shri Yantra. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is the Shri Yantra right there. And what I think, and then there's lotus petals and there's those circles around it. And then there's the square that has those little things off of it. And those little things off the side of the square represent doors. Anyway. Thank you, Maria. So that's the Shri Yantra. That's the one they're saying is the most common. It's also supposed to be one of the highest vibrating yantras. So everyone's like, why would I deal with any other yantras when we can look at this one? So it can be, any yantra can be drawn and then something will sit on it. And like if you were going to have Ganesh sit on something, Ganesh would sit on a square. I've been kind of half losing my voice this morning. So anyway, so different geometric shapes represent different things. Also, it can go into 3D. So you could have like a square, a smaller square, and then a circle, and then a steeple, or it comes up to a point, which could be like a tall pyramid, or it could be triangular pyramid. And all of those things just represent different vibrations. Another way a yantra can be used is on a pendant or as a talisman. Carry it in a pouch or, you know, in a top pocket, not a bottom pocket, or around the neck. And another way a yantra can be used is to draw it out and then hang it where you meditate at eye level, so that that is kind of what your eyes are seeing. I thought all of those were good ways to use this machine. So I also was reading that yantras have to be they have to be powered up, like you have to turn them on, just like our machines. And the way that you turn on a yantra is you have the yantra, and then you do mantra, the mantra that goes with that yantra. Mantra is also a machine or a device, and you do the mantra with that yantra, and then the yantra becomes powered up. So mantra and yantra are incredibly linked.
What mantra goes with the Shri Yantra, or is it just any mantra?
I don't know. No, I think it's specific.
Okay.
I don't know them. And anything that gets specific, usually you can find a few different, variations on it. So I'm not even sure which mantra goes with the Shri Yantra, but that would be probably the easiest one to find out, since it's the most popular yantra. Questions, comments, answers? If I was going to get a tattoo, I would probably get a yantra.
Would it be Sri Yantra or one of the deities?
I don't know. I don't know. And also everything, you know how as soon as you start looking into like, wait, which gemstone goes with what? And then you're like, oh my gosh, there is a whole universe of gemstones. There's a whole universe of yantras. So every deity, every planet, every
All your chakras, right?
every element, every chakra, everything has a yantra. And if you really got super deep into yantra, like if that was your thing, every single different thing in the universe has a yantra. So every person has a yantra, every parcel of land has a yantra, every house has a yantra, every probably automobile has a yantra. I mean, the automobile thing, I'm reaching there. It might be like all automobiles have the same yantra, but people are so individualized that every person would have a yantra. It's like snowflakes. Next question. I think it's fun that mantra is kind of auditory, like it's in sounds and possibly language, you know? So I think mantra is really auditory, and I think yantra is really visual. And I think that's kind of cool. So you know where I'm going with this. For certain, there are certain smells that go with certain yantras that go with certain mantras. And there's got to be certain things that, you know, like you take into your mouth, whether you end up swallowing it or not. But, you know, holding flower petals, holding stones, holding things in your mouth, right? Hand mudras, asanas, they all start to, I feel like hand mudras and asanas are the sense of touch.
I like that concept. Like basically it's like multimodal, like sight, sound. There's some way to achieve that fixation using any of the senses or combining them.
Yeah. And the whole point, like what we just read in Swami Rama's book, the whole point is to get away from the senses. Pratyahara is that like the senses are no longer distracting me. So there's oh gosh. Should I really talk about everything that I don't know anything about? I don't know. Sure, go ahead. Okay. So there's two types of meditation generally talked about. One is formal and one is informal. And these I learned having to do with, the example was the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama goes through what we would think of as visualization. Like if you have a yantra and you go through that whole thing, the points and the lines, and like you're not just looking at it blurred, but you know, you're tracing it or whatever. That would be formal. And you know the beautiful scrolls they unroll usually, they're called tarakas, I think. And is that right? No. No, they're called, hold on, it starts with a T. I'll get to it in a minute. Anyway, they're called something, and there's a picture of Buddha, and then there's some things around, and you never know exactly what they are because I didn't grow up in that culture, so I don't know them all. But the Dalai Lama will go through one of those as a mental exercise, and that will be a meditation. And he might do the same one over and over, or he might do a few different ones. And that visualization and discipline to stay on track and do the same visualization over and over is a type of meditation. And that's called formal meditation because it has form. And then informal meditation is what you usually hear about, where it's, you usually hear about it like Zen meditation, like, oh, just the void, oh, there is nothing. And that nothingness is considered informal meditation. I personally would have flipped those names because it would be easier for me to visualize something over and over, like Hannah laying there with those two dogs being so cute. It's easier for me to visualize something over and over. So I would be like, oh, that must be informal because it's easier. But that's actually formal because it has parameters. And then vastness, nothingness, the void, emptiness, losing track of time, losing track of who you are, where you are, how anything in the outside world is, like just only being internal with no stimulus at all. That's considered informal. And to me, that's considered like super high. Okay, so those are two types of meditation. And then someone somewhere, a bunch of people got together and they did a study at a university. And they had one person come in who was, I don't know how they were sitting, who was meditating. And then they had another person come in who was meditating. And one person's meditation was to sit and be completely aware, totally calm and aware. So if someone dropped a pin, it would register on that person's feedback. They were hooked up, to brain feedback, whatever that's called. And any sound, like they were in a building. So if a train went by outside, this person would have a little spike of brain recognition. There's a sound, it's not a threat. I'm not going to break my meditation. They'd go back into meditation, but completely aware. And the experiment had some really loud sounds in it. So then the next person who came in was in meditation. And when they dropped a pin, nothing changed on the brain. And when they hit a gong, nothing changed on the brain. And when they dropped a plate and broke it, nothing changed. There was nothing registered. And so then when they got their results back, they were like, these both seem like amazing meditators, but they're just meditating differently. So one is you totally let go of everything and nothing registers until you decide to come back into this physical world. And then the other one is you're in the physical world, but you're perfectly calm and you notice all things. Anyway, I thought those were cool ideas. Anyway, they both got an A+.
I can tell you the first mantra that I found to go with it.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, this says to energize the Sri Yantra, you soak it overnight in salt and saline water to get the negativity away.
Yep, to clean it.
Clean it, and then put it in the sunlight, and then wash it with milk and saffron.
And that first washing, that's like that's when the serving or the, like, it's like puja.
Puja, yeah.
Washing.
It says light incense and sprinkle water. I think I don't know this word, Ganjala or Ganjajal. Is that like water from the Ganga River?
Probably.
And then you chant, is AIM Om or is that AIM? AIM cream?
I'm. AIM is I'm. It sounds.
Oh, yeah. I'm cream namaha.
It's like you give it a spa day. You put it in salt water and clean it, and you.
Mm-hmm.
Maria's looking up in her book and shaking her head. Yes. Maria, do you have more on the mantra?
And then it says, place the yellow cloth. This must be really the puja for it. Place the yellow cloth, a sheet of silver or gold. Put a coral gem, mala bead on the yantra. Offer flowers, yellow, jaggery, raw turmeric. and incense. Chant 108 times the following mantra on a lotus seed rosary. Om Shreem 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 Kamla, Kamle, Kamalaya, Prasid Prasid, Shreem 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 Om Mahalaxme Namaha. Then cover the Sri Yantra with a red cloth and keep it that way.
Wow. This makes me feel like, it makes me feel like how little ritual I have in my life. My yoga practice probably being the main ritual. And I know there are technically, you know, oh, you get up and you have your morning ritual or your before bed ritual. But I just think about like being raised Catholic and how much ritual there was in the church service. And I don't know. It's just, I'm just thinking about that. Like I have so little ritual, I think, in my day-to-day life. I don't know that that's good or bad. It's just an observation. Because that's a big ritual. That's a lot. That's like a recipe. That's step by step. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love repetition. Like that's one of the things I love about Ashtanga. I love the repetition. I feel like it's so liberating and grounding, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I feel like how much can we commit to, and how much does our culture influence us? How much do our responsibilities take up? And then how much can we commit to? Like, I like to cook for people. I do a lot of cooking for people, not all day, but like almost every day I cook for someone. And so that's a little bit of a ritual for me. Like I really enjoy it, but I don't have a puja table. Now that Jackson's gone, I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know how much I served him? I have all this like space that I used to, that was total ritual and amazing. And I know a lot of people who have activated, I don't know that that's the right word, have live deities on their altar. And it's like puja twice a day, even if it's short, puja twice a day. And I'm like, I don't want to be locked down to that. I'm not trying to be crazy. I have altars and I have deities, and you know, sometimes, usually if something new comes into the house, I put it up somewhere and it sits there for a while until I get around to opening it up. But and sometimes I'll like put my hot chocolate in front of one of them before I drink it, but not always. I don't know. I really love the yoga of spontaneity, and I think that that fits our language and our culture fairly well. I don't know, but I also have friends that like I said, they do puja twice a day and they feel like that fits their life so perfectly. And if they travel, they take their deity with them. Yeah.
It's like a lovey, like
Yeah.
bringing a little stuffed animal with you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Does anyone remind me to tell you about the hitchhiker I picked up that was Tibetan, studying Tibetan everything? Does anyone else have anything to say? Hannah, were you going to say something? Okay. You were just changing positions. Okay, so one day I was driving with, remember when I was growing hemp? I hope no one remembers that. Okay, so I was growing hemp and it turned out to be a lot to do, totally fun. And I was by myself checking the fields, and I was driving home, and I spontaneously took like the longer way home because it's more beautiful. And I saw this hitchhiker, and I'm like, obviously I pick up hitchhikers. So he gets in the car and he has a backpack, and he's like coming from not 10 stones. I think it's Meta Earth. He's coming from Meta Earth, which is a person who left 10 Stones, which used to be, I don't know if it even exists anymore. It used to be a little bit of a sanctuary and a co-op and super high values, but co-ops are hard. So this couple left, they broke off and they made Meta Earth, and people can go there and work in exchange for yoga and meditation and food every day. And they do farming. So, you know, and I think they might run retreats. Anyway, it's somewhere down that way in the state. So this guy's hitchhiking and I pick him up and he gets in the car and he says, oh, I said, where are you going? You know, my name's Kathy. Hi, where are you going? And he said, I'm going to the airport. If I didn't pick him up that minute, he wasn't going to make his flight. Like it just, but he travels with a backpack, small backpack. He's totally chill. He already has a ticket and he's just like, I'll get to the airport. Doesn't stress at all. He's got it down and he's young. And anyway, so he tells me he's been doing this thing. So then we're talking because it's like 45-minute drive. We're talking and I told him that I had been working in a couple of prisons and teaching them to be yoga teachers, which that's loose language right there. And he said, oh, I have this thing that I've always wanted to teach prisoners, especially prisoners that are in isolation. And I'm like, what is it? And he's like, in Tibetan Buddhism, there are invisible pets that you have. And you take care of this invisible pet. And the more you take care of it, like you seriously take care of it. It's lighter than carrying an idol with you though. You take care of it. You talk to it off and on all day. It's basically like you have an invisible dog. And
like Pokemon Go.
Yeah. But you don't need a phone. So you take care of this one invisible pet. I think you only get one. And it'll go off and get information for you and bring it back to you. And you can send messages to other people's pets through this pet. And the people who actually develop this and play with it a lot, they don't feel lonely because they have their pet. Their pet doesn't die. That would be convenient. And it becomes like a helper to their life. And sometimes it'll give them advice. Sometimes it'll like hold them back from something. Like it's a whole entire relationship with like your teddy bear or your lovey or whatever Gina was calling it. Like it's this super special relationship. And he said that the Tibetan people that he was studying with, most of them have a pet that looks like something you would see on a tonka. That's what they're called. Those hangings are called tonkas. Something you would see on a tonka. He said, but the people who are really into it in America and in Canada have picked it up. They all tend to be a little bit younger, like him, like in their 20s. And it's become popular in a few areas. And most of them use one of the My Little Ponies. I know. And I was like, he's like, your pet can look like anything you want it to look like. So these people are using My Little Pony, and like My Little Pony is easy to visualize because people have seen it probably more than me. And it works just as well as something that you would use off of a tonka. And he said that he knows people that have just made up an image and people who feel like the image of their pet came to them. And anyway, he said that it gives you, they're like programmed, or they're made to give you good advice so that your life becomes better. Or those are all very English words. It's meant to like empower you spiritually. Isn't that kind of cool?
It's so awesome, but I'm so disappointed they use My Little Pony.
I was surprised.
I know I'm missing the point, but it's, I mean.
No, I know. When he told me that, I was like, in my mind's like, well, that's not authentic. That can't possibly work. So I've digested it for about 2 years and I'm like, My Little Pony is totally cool. Give it about 2 years. When I was in 6th grade, I had a teacher that was just nice enough to let us have some downtime. And if you had your work done, all you had to do was be quiet. So me and my friend Terry Tadina, we had those desks that like you open it up and there's your books and your pencils and your lunch and everything. So we would open up our desks and we would like lean in and hide in there and whisper to each other, which was acceptable. And we pretended that we had pet clouds that lived in our ear, and we would send them out to go get into mischief around the room and then call them back. And that's the closest I've gotten to this Tibetan thing. That was 6th grade.
The pet cloud is such a better construction of this thing. It's just my association with My Little Pony is, I don't know, but it's fine. I'm not too stuck on it. That's so sweet. My friends and I around that age range, we used to take those big erasers that were like green or pink, and we used those as our school pets because you weren't allowed to bring toys into school. So we named them, and they were always with us, and we would bring them out to recess, and they had this rich fantasy life. And it was funny because we really felt like we were pulling something over on the whole culture because there were like no toys, and we were like, okay, well, these erasers that look like toys that don't look like toys actually are amazing toys.
Right. You were like, guess what? Everything's a toy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. I like that idea of, I don't know, like an imaginary friend, you know?
Yeah. My parents bought me a bunch of pet rocks when I was younger. And like, it was so sad. And I would like put them in a dark place, and then my dad would be like, go see if the rock rolled over, and like he would move the rock, and I'd be like, it moved. And finally, I think one day my brother was like, that's just a rock. And I was like, no, like it has its own life and all this stuff. And I connected with a friend and I was like, oh, did you have a pet rock? And they were like, what the hell are you talking about?
That was a thing of my generation,
thing, right?
It was, yeah. Like when Kathy and I are the same age, I'm going to say when we were about 8 or 9 years old, you would buy a pet rock. Yes. Like it came in a box and it said pet rock, and it was an amazing marketing.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I grew up like on the side of Mount Shasta, which is an old volcano. So it's mostly rock. So when the whole pet rock thing came out, my dad just was laughing so hard that people would buy a rock. Like we were constantly like, get the rocks off the lawn, get the rock, like get the fucking rocks out of here. But I collect rocks, so yeah, that's cool. I like your pet rock. I hope you still have it, Emily.
I don't have that rock per se, but there's a lot of rocks in my life now.
Yeah.
My partner works with rocks, so there's rocks everywhere all the time.
Oh my gosh. What does your partner do?
He builds like patios and stuff like that, and walkways. He loves rocks.
Nice. That's cool. Awesome. All right. We should probably hang up, but I love you and your invisible pets and your visible pets and your mineral pets. I love you, Amelia. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
See you.
Bye, Maya.